the gap between who you are and who you could become. Every human being walks around with two versions of themselves. The one showing up today, tired and comfortable, and the one buried underneath, starving to be released. That second version doesn't die when you ignore it. It waits. Most people never meet their real self because they settle for the surface level version that gets by, pays bills, and calls it a life. But greatness isn't given. It's extracted through pressure, through reps, through days you didn't feel like showing up but did anyway. The tragedy isn't that people lack potential. It's that they die with 90% of it still locked inside them, never opened, never used. Think about that, a life fully lived versus a life merely survived. The gap between those two lives is not talent, luck, or opportunity. It's decision. It's the choice made daily to dig one more level into yourself when everything in you says stop. This keynote matters because it destroys the excuse, I don't have what it takes. You do. You've just never been desperate enough to go get it. The version of you that quits at hour 1 will never meet the version of you that was built for hour 23. That's the whole game. Outlasting the noise in your head long enough for the real you to show up. Pain as fuel, not an excuse. Pain has two jobs in your life. It can either bury you or build you, and you decide which one. Most people treat pain like a stop sign. Successful people treat it like gasoline. Every setback, every rejection, every no, every sleepless night of struggle is data your body and mind can convert into drive if you let it. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who avoided pain. They're the ones who got so sick of their pain that they used it as the reason to move instead of the reason to stay stuck. This is critical because most people are waiting to feel ready before they act. But readiness never comes from comfort. It comes from friction. Muscles don't grow without resistance, and neither do people. When you're exhausted, broke, embarrassed, or overlooked, that's not proof you should quit. That's proof you're finally standing at the exact edge where transformation happens. The very moment your pain feels unbearable is usually the moment right before your breakthrough. So the goal isn't to avoid pain, it's to reframe it, to look it dead in the eye and say, you're not here to kill me, you're here to build me. That mindset shift alone separates the people who rise from the people who stay exactly where they are. The danger of quitting 1 inch before the breakthrough. Nobody quits at the beginning. Quitting happens in the middle, right when it gets hardest, right when the finish line is closer than it's ever been, but invisible because exhaustion has clouded your vision. This is the most dangerous moment of any pursuit because statistically, most people give up not because they lack ability, but because they can't see how close they actually are. Diamonds form under extreme pressure. Miners have walked away from tunnels 3 feet from the richest vein in history simply because they didn't know it was there. Your dream works the same way. The version of you that gives up today will never know if tomorrow was the day everything changed. This keynote is shocking because it means quitting isn't really about lack of capability. It's about lack of information. You don't know how close you are. Nobody does. That's exactly why the standard can't be, I'll keep going until I see results. It has to be, I'll keep going regardless of results, because the results are hidden until they're not. The pain of pushing through the unknown is temporary. The pain of quitting 1 inch from the breakthrough and finding out later how close you were, that pain lasts a lifetime. Never let temporary exhaustion make a permanent decision. Comfort zone is a slow, silent death. Comfort doesn't announce itself as an enemy. It disguises itself as safety, as balance, as being realistic. But comfort is the most expensive thing you'll ever own because it costs you your potential in exchange for a feeling of ease. People don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because comfort feels good in the moment and growth feels bad in the moment. And most people are addicted to how things feel right now instead of how their life will look in 5 years. This keynote is shocking because it flips the common belief that quitting is dramatic. Quitting is usually quiet. It looks like sleeping in 1 more hour, skipping 1 more workout, avoiding 1 more hard conversation, settling for good enough. Each small surrender feels harmless, but they compound into a life that never became what it could have been. Comfort zones don't just limit your future. They erase the urgency to even want one. The goal is not to eliminate comfort entirely, but to recognize it as a warning signal. When everything feels easy, you are likely stagnant, not safe. Growth demands controlled discomfort, deliberately choosing hard things on purpose before life forces them on you. The people who change their whole trajectory are the ones who treat discomfort as the price of admission to the life they actually want, not as something to avoid at all costs. Discipline when no one is watching. The truth about greatness is that it's built in private and revealed in public. Nobody sees the 5 a.m. mornings, the meals skipped to save money for a dream, the hours of practice with zero applause, the times you kept a promise to yourself when it would have been easy to break it. Motivation is loud but temporary. It shows up when you feel good and disappears the second things get uncomfortable. Discipline is quiet but permanent. It doesn't care how you feel, it just executes. This is the keynote that separates dreamers from doers, because talent without discipline is wasted potential, and dreams without discipline are just wishes with better marketing. The shocking part is this: most people aren't defeated by big failures. They're defeated by small, repeated, unwitnessed compromises, snoozing the alarm, skipping the workout, avoiding the hard call. Those unseen choices are actually the entire foundation of who you become. Nobody is coming to save you from your own inconsistency. The version of you that wins is built in rooms with no audience, on days with no motivation, doing the work anyway. If you can master discipline in private, you will never need permission, applause, or an audience to keep going. You'll already be unstoppable because you built the habit long before anyone was watching. Your why must be bigger than your excuses. Excuses are the most creative thing the human mind produces under pressure, and they will always outnumber your reasons to keep going unless your why is powerful enough to drown them out. A weak why gets defeated by a bad morning. A powerful why survives failure, criticism, exhaustion, and doubt, because it isn't rooted in convenience, it's rooted in identity, purpose, or people who are counting on you. This keynote is essential because most people never clarify why they're actually pushing. So the first hard obstacle convinces them the goal wasn't worth it. But when your reason is strong enough, proving something to yourself, breaking a cycle for your family, becoming the person your future depends on, quitting stops being an option. Because quitting would betray something bigger than temporary comfort. The shocking reality is that most people don't fail from lack of ability. They fail from a why too small to survive resistance. Building a bigger why means connecting your daily actions to a future so vivid it hurts to imagine giving up on it. When your reason is big enough, obstacles become inconveniences instead of stop signs. That's the difference between someone who quits at the first storm and someone who becomes unstoppable through every storm that follows the size and depth of their why. What if everything you think is your limit is actually just the beginning you haven't unlocked yet? What if the exhaustion you're feeling right now isn't a sign to stop, but a sign that you're finally close to something real? What if quitting today means walking away one day, one single day before the breakthrough that would have changed the rest of your life? Ask yourself, what are you actually addicted to? Comfort or growth? Because comfort will let you sleep tonight, but growth is the only thing that will let you sleep in peace 10 years from now, knowing you didn't quit on yourself. Comfort zones don't scream at you to stay. They whisper, it's okay, rest a little longer, you can start tomorrow, you've done enough. And that whisper has buried more dreams than any failure ever could. So I need you to build discipline in the dark. Nobody has to see you grind for it to count. Nobody has to clap for your 5 a.m. mornings, your skipped meals to save for your future, your quiet no to distractions that used to control you. Discipline is what you do when motivation leaves the room, and motivation always leaves the room. It's emotional, it's unreliable, it shows up when it feels like it. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. It just shows up every single time.